at the professional level. 70, is going to be a plus plus. 80 is like Hall of Fame caliber. You don't want to be down below a 50. 40 is below average. Okay. And of course, a 20 is the worst you can possibly be. So just a little bit of insight there, because, whether a high school coach is evaluating exactly the same as a pro scout, it's tough to say, but I can tell you that they're looking for, the same kinds of things. So very important, to know those things. I mean, the run tool, right? Guys, how many of you guys are working on your run tool? How many of you get out there and work on sprints on a regular basis? I've seen some hands, a lot of people don't work on it. So now that you know the 5 physical tools, those are the things you should be working on. So as a high school coach, I could go, like I say, I could keep talking and talking and talking, but that gives you a little foundation for what we're looking for.
That's awesome. So earlier when you said that you were one of the hardest outs, what does that consist of? Can you share with us, what that really means?
Right. Is that your background, or is that like one of the guys? Because they can mute if they need to, but they can hear me. So being the 7th toughest out in the country, it's basically, your strikeout to walk ratio based on at bats. So, your batting average, so I struck out very little. I was a switch hitter, I was a competitor at the plate. I was a very difficult out, like, in clutch situations. I produced, I got the ball in play, I was going to make things happen. And, that's a mindset. That's a mindset as a player. And I think you guys got to be really careful, with a lot of the stuff that's going on right now, especially as young players thinking that it's okay to strike out all the time. It's not. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're going to strike out occasionally, but you got to be a really tough out, especially with 2 strikes. Give you, at the youth levels, fellas, and high school levels, even college to a degree, getting the ball in play, puts pressure on the defense. If you hustle, you get the ball in play, preferably hard, of course. But just getting it in play, period, can help, your team win. It's about scoring runs. So, am I still there? I
Yeah.
lost you, Coach.
No, you're still
Okay.
here. Yeah, he's.
All right.
I don't. Yeah, we lost him. But
Yeah.
no, that's good. That's good stuff. That's one of the things that Coach Vince and I talk about, is about having a plan. And maybe you could reiterate, or maybe just tell what you did when you came up to hitting, and maybe talk a little bit more about hitting and having a plan, knowing the situation and whatnot. This is something.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, having a plan, there's 3 things you need to be a great hitter, right? You got to have solid fundamental mechanics that allow you to be efficient and quick and use your body efficiently. You have to have pitch recognition, okay? Your ability to see spin, speed, and location, identify balls and strikes, swing at good pitches. That's all under pitch recognition. And then you have to have a plan, okay? We call it an approach or a game plan. You got to have a plan. Sometimes the plan at the plate is very simple. It's just you're looking to get a fastball, out over the plate and drive it. Other situations are going to require you to do certain things. Sometimes your coach dictates your plan for you. If he puts on a sack bunt or a hit and run, then you have to execute the plan. What's required and you get the job done. The plan adjusts. The plan typically adjusts pitch to pitch, at bat to bat, game to game, score, runners, all these things, the type of pitcher you're facing go into your plan. You figure your plan out in the dugout and on deck. You don't wait till you get into the batter's box. And, you don't want to be thinking when the pitcher's delivering the ball. That's not the time. So you kind of create your plan and then you commit to it. And what you need to understand about hitting, hitting is a failure sport. I'm sure you guys have heard that a million times. And, how you handle failure and adversity as a hitter is going to dictate how far you go offensively. because you're going to make outs. We call it the 70% rule for those of you that pitch. You know, the 70% rule means no matter what, you know, no matter how good somebody is, there's a 70% chance they're going to get out, right? And if you flip that around, that's the 300 batting average, 3 out of 10. So 70% of the time you're going to make out. So, you know, you got to understand that at 30%, if you guys are bringing 30s home on your science exams, mom and dad aren't real happy, right? But, you know, you get to the higher levels of baseball and you have a 30% success rate at the plate offensively, you're a pretty doggone good hitter, you know, at the higher levels when you're hitting at a 30% or 300 batting average. So, you know, the plan, yes, as you get older, you're going to learn how to implement a plan better, you know, an offensive game plan when you're going to the plate. But, you know, you got to be careful about complicating things because you can make it harder than it really has to be sometimes. I would say a real simple plan would be I'm not swinging at a breaking pitch unless I have 2 strikes until this pitcher can prove that he can throw a breaking pitch consistently for a strike and he's relying on it regularly. Because as you get older, you know, and you get to the varsity levels, if you're at a good high school playing good competition, you don't want to, you know, what do you guys rather hit, a fastball or curveball? If I were to tell you right now, like, you know, which one you're going to have more success with, most of you are going to say the fastball. So why would we swing at anything other than a fastball with less than 2 strikes, unless the guy is like living on his breaking ball and he's pounding the zone, right? That's a simple plan, but I got to commit to it. I can't be afraid if he pumps 1 curveball in there for a strike. So what? Okay, that's why you get 3 strikes. And this is where hitting, you know, takes some mental toughness. You got to commit to your plan. And chances are you're going to get a hittable fastball that you can drive at some point. And when you get 2 strikes, then you battle. So, you know, I don't want to go much deeper than that. Just know that the plan is a part. What are the 3 components if you're taking notes to being a great hitter? Swing mechanics, pitch recognition, approach. Okay, so those are the 3 things. You got to have all 3 to be a great hitter at the highest level. You don't need them all when you're 14 years old. You can be pretty doggone good without those. But the game will pass you by if you don't work on all 3.
Thanks, Coach. You've given us a lot of things to digest. And I guess as simple as possible, what was your mindset back then? I mean, I know approach is one thing, but, you know, it takes a certain type of mental toughness to go out there and just, you know, get after it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
yeah. I think, you know, a lot of players seek confidence. Like they either lack it or, you know, they desire to have more confidence. So, you know, when I stepped to the plate, I was very confident that I would, you know, that I could have a quality at bat. Okay. And if you guys don't know Steve Springer with quality at bats, you guys need to look him up. I could probably get him on you know, a call with you. He's amazing. Okay. And so we have to redefine, first of all, what success is at the plate. Okay. That's going to improve my confidence. So if all I'm worried about is my batting average, guys, that's a trap. Okay. That's a trap because I can hit the ball hard 4 times in a row at somebody and be 0 for 4. Okay. And if you walk away from that game acting like you had a bad day at the plate, you're in big trouble because we got to redefine what success is. You've hit the ball hard, okay, 4 times in a game. That's success. So those are quality at bats. When you barrel a ball up, that's a quality at bat. You walk, okay, you know, there's all sorts of criteria. There's like 8 for a quality at bat. But here's what I want to get into, guys. Okay, confidence comes mostly from your preparation. It comes from your preparation. And if all you're doing is what your coaches are doing at practice, if you're just counting on them to provide the repetitions, okay, to give you the confidence you need to compete in the game, you're not there. You've lost. Okay, you might have some success at your level, but again, the plan, you have a process where you work. Okay, you guys should be working at home right now. We're all on lockdown. Okay, you guys should be getting your work in. I lost coach again, but I'm assuming you guys can hear me. So, you know, you got to put in the time above and beyond what you're doing at practice. Okay. Every championship caliber player, every big leaguer is putting in above and beyond what they do in practice. So once you develop confidence, which comes from preparation, you're a much more difficult, opponent at the plate than you are if you don't have confidence. And, the only way you're going to get that is putting in the work, like I say. So being a tough-minded individual is huge. You got to learn to compete. And, we're not guys that cuss and throw bats and make excuses. They get weeded out of this game real fast. Don't be one of those guys. Okay. You want to be, everybody knows you're going to make out. You got to be tough. So there you are. You're back. Okay. Does that answer your question? I mean,
No, that's perfect. It's awesome. We discussed with the guys over and over again how many swings a professional player gets a day. We're talking about sometimes 7 days a week, and our point is exactly what you're saying is, hey, just because we don't have practice that day doesn't mean you can't get out and hit off a tee. Doesn't mean you can't sit there and do some wall drills, and we always encourage that. We've gone over certain things that they can do at home by themselves without having to have their dad throw it to them or a brother or anything like that. So no, it's important. I think it's you bring up a good point. Nothing they haven't heard before as far as getting out there and getting the work in every day. So,
yeah,
that's
I
cool.
want to add to it though. Like, fellas, my best friend is the big league hitting coach for the Boston Red Sox. Okay. Like, he's the guy with Mookie Betts. Of course, Mookie just got traded, but with all those guys, okay, you can like the Red Sox or don't like the Red Sox, but and he was with the Dodgers before that, and his name is Tim Hires, and the amount of work that these guys put in before the game, you might go to a game and watch them take BP on the field. That's like, they've already been in the cages for hours. Okay. They go through a routine. This is what I was talking about earlier. So a routine would look something like they work on a couple specific T drills. Okay. Then they usually go to front toss, flips or whatever you want to call it, front flips, front toss, whatever. Okay. Then they go to coach thrown BP, kind of a feel good BP to create the rhythm. And then after that, they're going to the hack attacks. They're going, which is a pitching machine, a 3-wheel pitching machine. It's called a hack attack. They're in every major league batting cage under the stadiums, and they're replicating the pitches as best they can for what they're going to see that night. Okay. And a lot of young kids, they hate pitching machines. Like, I can't hit the pitching machine. Well, you better learn how to hit a pitching machine, because in college and professionally in the better high school programs now are replicating that same thing. And all we're really trying to do is, create as much game-like reps as possible. If you're going to face major league pitchers that are throwing 93 to 99 miles an hour, okay, you're probably not going to get prepared just from hitting off a tee and taking front flips for that. So, yeah, after they hit off machines and they take a break for a little while, maybe shower up, get on their unis, then they go out and they hit on the field, and then they come back in again, hit some more underneath, and then they get ready for the game. So there's a lot to being a champion you don't get to see behind the scenes. Now, at 14 years old, you're probably not going to have that type of process, but you need to understand that there is a process and it's a growth. And if you see any of that stuff as like a chore, like it's a job, you're not going to, don't say you want to be a professional baseball player, because to them, they love the process as much as they love the games. The preparation, the time, it's just all part of it. You gotta be a rat, you gotta enjoy being at the field, putting in your work. It's just, if you don't enjoy that, baseball is the wrong sport for you, because, there's going to be a whole lot of doing the same things over and over again, when it comes to this game.
So, Coach, it sounds like the professional athletes who really want to be successful are getting as much reps before a game as some of our guys are getting in a whole 2 weeks or something at times. So
Probably
that's
true.
we always talk about that and say, hey, think about how many reps behind you are if you're not doing it that day. But
Yeah.
that was awesome. How about as far as being a fielder when you were a shortstop? What was
Mm-hmm.
the what was the process then for you on a daily basis?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I wish I knew some of the stuff I knew now when I was a player. Really, my process as a player was to get as many ground balls as possible. Um, and I would throw. If my arm felt good, I would try to make throws because that's the second part of the process of fielding. We catch the ball, we throw the ball. Okay. And so I would, based on how my arm felt, in college, we're playing 60 game schedules. So, when I was professionally, we're playing, 120. Minor leagues, you might play, 100 games, depending on what level you're at. But so you really have to like gauge all this stuff. But I love to get reps. That's where my confidence came from with taking ground balls and throwing. And if I wasn't throwing, I would always put my body in a position as if I was going to make a throw. And then I would just, at that point, turn and throw the ball into the fungo man. Now, if I was training now, like my son, who's a Division I shortstop, I would be doing a lot of the things that you see Nate Trotsky and I teach. We would overspeed train. We would work our hands a lot more, our footwork a lot more. Now, I did jump rope a lot. I did do that in college, which is huge. So, yeah, those are some of the things. Is that your house? Is that
Break
your
you
house,
up,
coach?
jump rope. I introduced that years ago, and I have, I don't know, about a bag of them. And
Good.
tell me how many of the kids love jump roping. Probably none
I
of
can't see him.
them. Probably none of them, because that was the worst thing. I was like, make sure you guys do your jump rope. Be light on your feet. You guys got to learn how to be able to be agile on the field and be quiet, like be smooth and
Yeah.
quiet. It's one of those things that a lot of the things you're touching on right now, man. Amazing. You talked about confidence and being prepared. That's the exact definition that we just talked about last week in our practice.
Right.
A lot of the things that you're saying is so and spot on to what we're saying. It gives us a little bit more confidence that we're sharing the right information with these kids, because that's the important part that Coach Vince and I are dealing with right here. And just to build on your what you were saying about the different levels of different gameplays and preparation, and having a way to a routine, a daily routine, and then working this time right now. How does one, okay, so let me bring it this way. We're in an age where we're waiting to be told to do something. We're waiting to go to a specialized coach to tell us, hey, you know what, this is how you're going to get the gold. I'm going to put it right here. This is how you're going to dig, and you're going to get a piece of gold right here. But then when they go out in the real world and say, hey, you got to go to that mountain and there's gold somewhere over there, the practicality is they're not going to go out there. They're going to wait for somebody else to either, I don't know, show them or tell them. And that's one of the things that Coach Vince and I try to challenge all these gentlemen, small gentlemen, small young men, because that's what they are. That we challenge them to think on their own. We challenge them that when there's a fly ball in the air, we're not saying get it, like every parent or young youth coach. Yeah, of course, we don't want to be obvious with these. We want them to think, but sometimes it's that transition's a little bit they struggle with. So they have to find themselves. I guess the question is, how do they find themselves in a routine that works for them, that they can progress in? Yep. And you could go on your blue collar workout thing that I think is great. You already know that we already got that, and a few of the guys already bought it too.
Good, awesome. Wesley, you bored? You sure? All right. I'm watching you throw things around in there. So basically, guys, you have to develop. So what your coaches are telling you is spot on. Okay. You have to eventually become your own best coach. So most of you, you might take hitting lessons or pitching lessons, or you go to practice and your coaches tell you exactly what to do. And you come in after bad games and you go, or bad at bats, like, hey, what did I do wrong, coach? Hey, what did I do wrong? What I do wrong that at bat, you have to start to learn the game to a point where you can become your own coach, because here's the reality. I hope you guys are all listening to this. The higher level you get, the less coaching you get. And everybody thinks it's exactly the opposite. Oh, when I get to college, I get professional, I'm going to learn so. No. No. Okay. This is the prime of your life. Hear me carefully. You guys are 13, 14 years old. Okay. You got to start figuring this game out. You got to learn how to make adjustments. Okay. Offensive adjustments, defensive adjustments, pitching adjustments. You got to figure it out. Okay. And as coach said, when you get out into the real world, or you get into the higher levels of this game, there's no professional baseball player, not one, that comes back to the dugout and goes to their hitting coach and says, coach, what did I do wrong that at bat? They would be like, are you kidding me? Because these guys, they know exactly what they're doing. Now, they're occasionally a guy will get into what's called a funk, F-U-N-K, funk. Okay. And the hitting coach will recognize something mechanically that's going on and help that guy get back. But it's not an at-bat situation. Okay. So you have to learn how to coach yourself. You got to learn the game. And this is why you are on this call. Guys, this is why you guys are on this call. If you're not listening, okay, first of all, you should be taking notes, because we give ourselves too much credit to remember. You're not going to remember 10% of what we talk about tonight. It's going to make sense to you, but you're going to be like, oh, I'll remember that. And then like tomorrow you'll be like, now what did he say? Okay. You have to write things down. You got to review them. And this is why so few players are champions. They're not willing to do those kinds of things. Okay. You got to be different. You got to be willing to be different. So, you got to figure things out. Yeah. I mean, it's true. Everything I'm saying is true. Okay, fellas, everything I'm saying is true. I get paid a lot of money to go around this country and speak. Okay, I'm doing this for free for you guys, but what I'm telling you is real, and it works. And if you're not doing it, your skill's only going to take you so far. You can be a stud at 14. I want you guys to hear this. I can't tell you how many 14-year-olds that I've seen that were really good players, that by the time they were varsity seniors, their little tails were sitting on the bench or cut, okay? And they were the studs when they were in middle school. How does that happen? How does that happen? I can tell you how it happens. Here's how it happens. You think you're real good and you don't need to work very much anymore. And just because you've been real good all the way to 14, you think it's going to stay that way all the way to 18, okay? And the guys that are a little bit smaller, that maybe aren't quite as good, they're going to get stronger. They're going to get bigger. They're going to keep working. And before you turn around, they're going to be the same size or as good or better than you, and your little behind is going to be on the bench. So if you're really good now, if you're smart, you don't get complacent, okay? You don't take things for granted. You have a guy like myself or these other coaches that your coaches bring on for you to hear. You guys go listen to people talk. Okay, you start applying that information to your game, and you become your own best coach, and you work your tail off. If you have the blue collar lockdown, I applaud you. Okay, you should have it. You should be working on it every day. There's no magic to being great. It's the little things every single day. It's grinding it out, the process every single day. And if you're not working like that, don't expect to be great. Okay, because it's not going to happen. So. Yeah. So I hope you guys hear that.
If you're not putting in the work, don't expect the results. And there's always someone working. I mean, while you're sitting there at home not doing anything, there's somebody out there who, wants to be good. They want to be great, and so they're putting in the work.
They are.
That's amazing. We talk about that all the time. And one of the things we do when they join the ambassador team is we tell them on the first practice they need to go out and they need to get their notebooks so that they can take notes throughout the year, because there's going to be notes. Yep. And it was encouraged for them to have that tonight. So I don't know how many guys have it. Doesn't seem like a bunch, but.
Hey, when Nate and I do our infield clinic around the country, okay, like we did one in Dallas after Christmas this past year, literally every single camper I see, Nathan with his notebook there, um, they're all taking notes the entire time. When we're talking, they're taking notes. It's a beautiful thing. You're talking about like 70 to 100 campers, kids from flying in from 14 different states to be at our camp in Dallas. They're flying in from 14 different states. Okay, their parents are paying money, buying flights, putting them in hotels so they can become elite level infielders. And these kids are serious. Okay, and when you want to be a great player, you don't compare yourself to the team that you're on or the league that you're in or the town that you're from. You start comparing yourself to your state. You start comparing yourself to the country. You start comparing yourself to the best players in the world. Okay, so don't ever get complacent just because you might be the best on your team or in your little area. It's a big, big world that we live in. There's 7 billion human beings on this planet, and there's only a couple hundred major leaguers. Do the math.
Lost him. Lost him.
Coach, we lost you. I don't know if you could hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Oh no, not you, Vin.
Yeah, I lost Coach too.
Is that better? Am I
Yeah,
back?
there we go. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All
Yeah. So
right.
yeah, that's a lot of the principles that my dad was a Marine. I also was in the fire service, and I played baseball all my life, and all those things that my dad used to do. Everybody used to call my dad the Marine coach because it was hard work. Go run a mile. Let's go work out. Hit hard ground balls on nothing but dirt field. No grass at all. We were in the desert, and then just keep on writing notes. And then as I was going in my fire department career, we had what they call a gig pad where you hold it, that little gig notebook, and you just write down all these nuggets as you're walking, because we can't retain everything we're hearing right now. We just can't. It's just something that, and that's one of the reasons why I go on these calls all the time, because I'm taking notes, but I don't care if it's the same information over and over. I need to retain it and hear it more and more, look at my notes and whatnot. So as these young men, or Coach Vince and I try to instill this in these young men to start taking notes and start applying this. So it's applied wisdom, like I said, it's gold. And that being said, that goes into another question, or when you're making changes or adjustments, as you would say, I say making changes is equaling progress, but it's so much that we hear from young athletes that I've been doing this way for my whole life, or, and they're not getting the results. They're just getting frustrated and trying to figure something out. Coach Vince and I try not to venture too far into that, because at one point, they're only with us for a few seasons. We try to correct what we can, and that we don't go into the big details unless they're willing to spend the time with us to do that. But how can we get them to understand that adjustments don't, like what you had talked about, I don't need to practice, but the adjustments need to be for each level of playing field, from a 14U to a 15U to high school to to junior varsity to varsity. All the adjustments has to go, and the progression has to go up, go that way. So
Yeah.
what can you talk about that?
Yeah, no, guys, this is a huge point, because it's a very dangerous place to be as a player when you think you've got it all. You need to understand that the game speeds up big time. Okay, when you start becoming a full grown adult, okay, and that happens for some people physically 17, 18 years old, others a little later. The speed at which a ball can be thrown, the speed at which people run, the speed at which people defend, okay, the speed at which people can hit, it speeds up exponentially. And whatever flaws you have, whatever things you do that you know maybe don't do right, those things start to get exposed. And the older you are, the harder it is to make adjustments. Okay, you've all heard the term muscle memory, right? Everybody's heard muscle memory. Okay, well, that's basically how you train your body to respond. If you train your body improperly how to respond because you got flaws, but those flaws haven't yet caught up to you, so you're still hitting 500 and you're hitting some balls out of the park when you're 13 years old because the field is small, you know, or 12 years old. You know, you guys all came out of those small fields. And then you go to the 90 feet, you know, bases, 60 feet, 6 inches on the mound, fences, 380 dead center, 30 down the lines. Those those fly balls that we're getting out at 12 are now routine pop-ups to the outfield. Your swing flaws that you have that, you know, you've gotten away with because the pitching isn't superior enough, all of a sudden start to get exposed. And if you're 14, 15, 16 years old trying to now go back and change things that you've done your whole life wrong, it's going to be a big challenge for you to make those adjustments in the midst of still winning a starting spot, right? You guys get to high school. Right now you're playing 14U, I'm guessing, right? You guys 14U, coach, right? 14U? Is that where you're at, coach?
Yes, sir.
Players,
Yes,
shake your
sir.
head. You 14? Okay, 14U. So you're one age group you're basically dealing with. You get to high school, it's 15, 16, 17, 18U all together. That's what it is. And you guys are trying to be the best. So, and win a starting spot. Now you start, you know, having to make a lot of adjustments while you're trying to win a starting spot. You're probably not going to have a lot of success because typically when we make changes, it's not immediate that things start to go better for us. You know, we have to buy in, we have to believe that we need to make a change, and then we do. So if somebody really knows what they're talking about, and that's the next hardest thing, you just can't listen to everybody because everybody's got an opinion. But if you have somebody that you know really understands what they're talking about, and they're asking you to make a change, and you're saying, well, I've always done it this way and it's worked for me. It may have always worked for you but there's going to come a point in time when it's not going to work for you anymore. Okay. And they're trying to help you make that adjustment ahead of time so you don't have to learn the hard way when you're 17 years old and now you can't make the adjustment because that muscle memory has just been so ingrained. Okay. So, you know, there's something to be said for all this. You guys have to be open-minded. You got to learn as much as you can about the game. Okay. And, you know, try to be as efficient as you can with your movements, whether it's hitting, fielding, pitching, whatever. Okay. Be as clean and athletic as you can possibly be.
That's great.
That's what I got.
Yeah. At this point, I want to start opening it up as you guys hopefully have started formulating your questions in your head to ask Coach. Now's a good opportunity. If somebody has something right away, you could ask it. Does anybody want to ask anything?
And I want to challenge them because I did this
Yeah.
the other night with a team out of Kansas City, Missouri. They were a 13-year-old and they were 13 and they asked some fantastic questions. So the pressure's on, fellas. They each asked me one. You guys don't have to do that. But make sure you take yourself off mute for a second when you do ask.
So you went to College of North Carolina, right?
Yes. Who do I got here? Who am I speaking with?
Barrett.
That coach? Who is it?
Barrett.
Barrett?
Yeah.
I'm looking for. Oh, I see you. Go ahead.
What was your morning routine of like workouts and stuff?
In college?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on whether it was the fall or the spring. You know, typically we would lift at 5:30 in the morning. So we had to get up, get out of bed, get to the weight room. If you're late, there's a big problem if you're late. So we're lifting at 5:30 to, you know, almost 7 o'clock. You're going to get a shower, go to the caf for some breakfast, get to your 8 o'clock class. We took mostly early classes because we had games and practices, every day. In college, it's like a full-time job. Um, this was like 30 years ago for me, but I can recall it. So we would get out of class at like 11, go to the caf, try to get lunch, and then head straight to the field for usually like a 4 to 5 hour practice. Other than that, we'd be getting ready for a game if it was the spring. We play 60 games in the spring, so you're balancing your academics with games. And a lot of the times we're traveling all over the East Coast. You guys are from California. You guys heard of like the Tar Heels, like UNC Chapel Hill, the Tar Heels, NC State, Clemson, University of South Carolina, Duke, Wake Forest. We're playing all those schools. So sometimes you're on a bus and you got to travel and get your studies done. And we might get back at 1 o'clock in the morning and have to be at a 5:30 lift the next morning. So we're lifting during the season. It's a serious deal, guys. It's, the idea of being a collegiate baseball player is pretty cool. But it's unbelievably difficult from a commitment perspective. You can't do the things that the other students are doing. You're not going to be able to go hang out and, drink beers and, go to the bars and, see all the girls all the time, because you're going to be playing and you're going to be practicing and you're going to be studying. So it's a major commitment. But yeah, Barry, that's a great question. And, of course, every day was a little different, just depending on what we had to do. But it was, go to class and practice, go to class and play games, pretty much. Good question. Next.
This is Nathan, and one of my questions is, what are some drills you could do to help your pitch recognition?
Wow. Great question. You said Nathan, right? I'm looking for Nathan. I don't see him yet.
Yeah.
There you are. You got the Yankees hat. I see you, buddy. Okay. When it comes to pitch recognition, okay, it's plate discipline. So when you're taking batting practice, even front flips, you're not just swinging at everything. Okay. Like if it's a ball, you're taking it. And the tendency when you're young is we just swing at everything, especially like front flips and Coach BP. We just swing at it all. So we don't create any discipline whatsoever as to what's a good pitch to hit. And then we get in the game and then we expect to have some sort of pitch recognition, okay? In the minor leagues, when you get drafted, excuse me, you're going to get about 400 at bats in a season. And, one of the things that happens is you see a lot of pitches. You see different pitchers and you start to learn to recognize, the ball out of the hand, hand positions. So like a fastball, the hand is going to be behind the ball. With a curveball, the hand is on the side of the ball, right? And so, like, as you can see, curveball, fastball, okay, you start to see spin, hand positions. Typically a fastball goes straight down to the plate. When it's released, a curveball has a tendency to go up a little bit before it comes down. So you start to learn all these little cues over time from hitting off curveball machines, from having plate discipline when you're doing front flips or Coach BP. And it's like a process. You start to develop these internal cues as to whether you swing or don't swing. And if you never work on that stuff, then, don't expect it to be there for you in the game, especially when the pitching, really speeds up. When we won the state title in 2017. We saw 12 or 13 pitchers that year that were 90 plus in high school. So, in Georgia. So if you don't work on those things, the game's gonna pass you by. That's a tremendous question. You can actually buy software now where you can work on pitch recognition. Game Sense Sports has some, you know, and you literally can simulate. So you get on a tee, you put that stuff on a screen, and like a TV screen, you put it's pitchers throwing pitches, and you put a tee, and of course there's a net in between because you wouldn't want to hit a ball into the TV, and you literally act like you're hitting live off that pitcher, and you know it's one way to improve your pitch recognition. So it's one of the most difficult things to work on, and for a long time that's all they did was you kind of had to figure it out over time. That's what good hitters did, and professionally they would draft you and give you 400 at bats. That's why nobody in when you get drafted, nobody goes straight to the major leagues. They all go into the minor leagues, and part of it is just because they got to learn how to recognize pitches, and it just takes time. Where football and basketball, you get drafted, you can be right at the top immediately because they're different games. Baseball, hitting is the most difficult skill in all of sports. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So great question about pitch recognition. I hope that helped a little bit, Nathan.
Excellent question. Yeah, there's also an app called Glasses Off. I'm not too sure what the science is behind it is, but it works on the contrast in your eyes that you could work on, and it just gives you little sequence of designs, and you have to recognize it, and it goes to a very smart small thing. So what it's supposed to do is to make you see things in contrast so you can take off your glasses. That was one of the things I was reading up on, and I thought that I had to have Aiden, my son, working on that for pitch recognition also, because you want to train your eyes, because your brain, I do a lot of weird research on brain plasticity and how we could train ourselves, and that's one of the things. So that was a great question. And what was that? What was the name of that app that you have? Did you write that?
I guess it's Game Sense Sports.
Game Sense Sports. Oh, okay.
Game Sense. Yeah. Logan, you feeling all right back? You over there on the couch or what?
Yeah, he just broke his arm. He just got surgery, so I don't know if he's pain meds right now. His mom is right there with you.
Hey, Mom.
She's listening in on him. So
Okay.
he just got out of surgery the other day, like 2 days ago. So.
Okay. All right. I forgive him then. Who's next? Anybody?
Mikey?
Hey, Mikey. I see you.
Okay.
What you got?
What some drills would you do to hit more consistently in the games?
Oh, well, challenge yourself in the cages. So you got to challenge yourself. You got to get in. So once you go through your feel good stuff, which is your T work, your front toss, and your coach BP, you got to challenge yourself. You got to hit against speeds that you're uncomfortable with. Guys, listen to me here. This is a big deal, okay? You got to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, okay? You got to learn to become comfortable being uncomfortable, meaning you got to challenge yourself continually, okay? Baseball players don't like to look bad, especially in the cages. We want to show everybody how good we are. And when we start amping up machines to levels that we're not comfortable with, whether it's breaking balls, fastballs, the success rates go down, right? They go down, and it's embarrassing. But, as long as you don't overdo it, you don't want to make it so tough that you have no shot. But over time, okay, you start to learn to handle velocity. You start to learn to handle breaking balls better. Okay. And then that stuff starts to transfer into the games. So, there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can, you can move closer to the pitching machine. So after every pitch, you move about 3 feet closer to the machine. Okay. Every time you move 3 foot closer to the machine, it's like to the brain, it equals like 5-mile-an-hour increase in velocity, even though the pitching machine's throwing the same speed. You're closer, right? So it seems faster. And then you do that about 3-4 times. So you go 3 foot closer, 3 foot closer, 3 foot closer, 3 foot closer. Okay, now it seems like the machine is throwing gas. Okay, and then you back up after the next swing 3 feet. After the next, back up, swing again, back up. By the time you get back to your normal spot in there, that velocity is going to seem a lot slower. Okay, but it's still throwing that same pretty good fast fastball, and you've just trained your brain. See, being on time is the biggest challenge to this game. And you might not have the best swing mechanics, but if you can be on time with the barrel to the ball, you're going to be a good hitter. So you got to constantly train in a way that allows you to improve those skills. And everybody, all you guys want like you want microwave fast food, I want it now. I make one adjustment and I'm a great hitter. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay, it's a process. But if you don't challenge yourself, you're not going to get better. I'll give you a great example of defense. Have you guys seen the drills on Twitter or whatever where Trotsky's nephew and my son Tabor are doing the 2-ball drill with tennis balls against the wall? And they're literally 6 feet off the wall. And they're doing 2 tennis balls at a time. You need to look it up. Tabor's gotten, I think he got like 54 reps in 20 seconds. Okay, like the balls are flying. Okay, and it took months to get there. Like he would start off, he was like, he could probably do 30 plus reps, and then it got to where he could do 35 and then 40, and he was like at 42. And then Jabin, which is Nate Trotsky, my buddy's nephew, who's a Division I signee at Oregon, is he got like 51 or something. And then Tabor started working and working and working. He got like, 53 in 20 seconds. I mean, guys, when you see this, they make it look easy. It's so hard. But if they never worked at it, they wouldn't even be close to that, right? And how many times did they get frustrated, trying to reach their goals? It took days and weeks and months of practice to be able to do it at that level. Okay, so don't expect things are going to happen right away for you. You got to put in the time, and you've got to be realistic with yourself and understand that you're going to fail some when you're training. And when you can learn to fail, okay, because you're competing in practice, you're going to be so much better off in the game. You're going to see pitches in the game that used to think were fast are now going to seem like just BP speed. So, I know that's a big, long answer, but I hope you guys are understanding that there's a lot to this, and it's part of how we train to be a champion. Good question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. You're welcome. You guys there?
We're here,
Who's
Coach.
next?
Anybody else, guys?
Hey, Coach, it's Ivan Estrada. I wanted to know, when you're looking for the 6 tools, if any tool stands out more than the others.
Of the 6 tool or of all 5 physical tools?
The 5
You're talking
physical.
about which one stands out? Well, it depends on what position you play.
Catcher.
All right. Well, if you were a pitcher, for instance, we could care less how fast you could run, right?
Right.
So, your arm strength, your ability to locate pitches for strikes, throw 2 pitches, for a strike, all that stuff, your pitch ability, which means, your ability to recover every time you pitch, all that stuff would play into it. So, for a catcher, receiving, blocking, pop time, so your footwork, your body control, your quickness, your toughness, play a big role. Now, if you defensively, if you can do all that, you're a prospect. Okay. Now you add in the hit tool to the catching, and you become a legit prospect. Okay. So defense is the number 1 priority for catching. And when you get a catcher who can hit, he can block, he can throw, he can receive, and he can hit. Okay. That's a special breed. Now you're going to move up real fast in the game if you got some toughness to you. So, you know, but again, run tool for a catcher is probably not a real big deal, you know. So you're running your 60 and, you know, and you're in high school and you're running a 7.4 60, which is not good. And you're a catcher, it's probably not going to matter. If you're a shortstop and you're running a 7.4, I hate to tell you, you probably ain't going to be, you know, having a whole lot of opportunities. That's not good foot. Now, if we move you over to first base or third base and you're hitting bombs and you're raking, you know, so it all depends on where you're playing, right? As to what tools. But if you got all five, which is extremely rare, we call that a what? 5-tool player, right? You guys heard that before? Okay, 5-tool player. You're a 5-tool player. You're going to be making a lot of money one day. If you got any kind of brain and toughness, the 6-tool, if you got 5 tools and you got some of the 6-tool, you're going to get a big payday come draft. But that doesn't happen very often. Another good question. That was good.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Yep. Any more?
Hi, Coach.
I'm not in any hurry, but go ahead.
This is Aiden Feliciano.
Hey,
I have a question on how do you adjust to different coaching styles, like say like taking criticism from different coaches. How do you
right.
like?
Yeah, I was trying to find Aiden here.
It's with Coach. It's with me. He's my son.
Okay, I see him now. Yeah. So that's a great question because, in my opinion, it's the player's job to adjust to the coach's styles. You know, a lot of people would say different, but, you know, you're going to play for some coaches, fellas, that you love, and you're going to play for some coaches that you hate. Ultimately, we don't play this game for our coaches. We play the game because we love the game, and we play for our brothers, and that's our teammates. You know, hopefully the coaches don't ruin the experience for you, but, you know, you have to learn your coaches. You have to be able to adjust. You know, I played for so many different guys, and, you know, if I was, you know, a real sensitive guy, I probably would have quit with a couple of the coaches that I played for. They were very hard. They were tough with their language. They liked to yell and scream a lot, but it wasn't personal, you know, and I learned, you know, how to grow thick skin and to be, you know, to be tough. So another thing is when you adjust from one coach to the next, you know, you have to decide if he tries to tell you to change things, you know, you have to decide. Like, you always do what your coach tells you to do, right? You try. But then deep down inside, you got to ask yourself, is this really going to help me be better? Okay. Is it going to truly help me be better? If it is, you want to make that change, even if it's going to cause you to struggle a little bit. Sometimes you got to take a couple steps backwards to take a bunch of steps forwards. Okay. But sometimes we don't make changes just because somebody tells us, because not everybody knows what they're talking about. Even people that are in coaching positions aren't always knowledgeable. So, you know, it's a great question. You definitely have to adjust to different coaching styles. And you got to, you know, ultimately love the game, because you're going to be challenged with different coaches, you know, that are going to treat you differently. And, you know, that's being a human being. When you get into the real world, you might not like your boss, you know, but you still got to go to work and you still got to perform. It's great if you love your boss, but, you know, you still got to go to work. So, you know, really, really good question. And, you know, just this whole game is about adjustments. So, you know, don't ever let one coach snuff your love of the game out, you know. Just keep moving through, pressing through, and you'll find a coach that you really like eventually.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm drinking coffee to stay awake, by the way.
Hey, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's tough.
Does
Nobody has anything
anybody
else.
else have anybody? Wesley, Logan, Shane, Jason. Anybody else? Or
Come on,
anybody?
Logan, you're wearing a Cubs jersey, bro. You got to have something. Let's see. I'm flipping through here. Nathan already talked. A couple of them don't have. I can't see their videos. Jason, there's Jason. Barrett, there's Barrett. He's got a baseball. He just woke up. Barrett just woke up. Any of you guys got any other questions at all? Hey, I hope, guys, that you'll follow me on Instagram. Most of you probably don't do Twitter. I think it's my name on Instagram. I think just Trent Mongero 22 or something will get you there. Follow me. Twitter, it's Coach Mongero. You know, I gave a coupon code to your coaches, whether you guys use it or not, for the blue collar lockdown to get it at $25. It's absolutely unbelievable. If you're a hungry player, okay, it's what you need. You can do it all at your house without equipment. I'm not here to sell it. You don't have to buy it. It doesn't matter. But if you are hungry as a player and you want to reach your full potential, we've sold thousands and thousands of this workout, okay, and people are killing it right now. They're getting better while they're at their house. So, you might want to consider it, and you can get it, at a discount. So, talk to your coaches about that when I hang up, if you're interested in that, or maybe the coaches can email it to your parents or something, because ultimately they're going to be the ones buying. Ivan, you all right? You eating your sweatshirt? How's it taste? I'm giving you a hard time. You guys have been great, man. I wish you guys all the best. I hope you guys can get back on the field. We're in Georgia, and our state's opening back up, and so far so good, right? So hopefully, if our state goes well, the other states are gonna, hopefully, be more encouraged to follow suit. Are you guys? What part of California are you in, by the way?
We're in Southern California, so we're northern LA. So we're in Santa Clarita.
Okay.
We're all
Northern
a few.
LA, I don't know. Are you familiar? What are you familiar out here?
We can always say we're a few miles away from Magic Mountain.
Yeah.
We're a few miles away from Magic Mountain.
Where were we? Huntington Beach.
Okay, so
Seal
that's
Beach,
probably
Huntington
an
Beach.
hour and a half,
For
2
me.
hours south. So we would go
South?
up the 405. Yeah, up north toward the 405.
Okay.
5 starts splitting off till you go up north.
Hey, where was the place we went out on the ocean? No, where we went out on the boardwalk place.
Santa
Where we
Monica?
went out. Babe, where we took the car out on the pier. Santa Monica?
Santa Monica, yeah. So that's still 45 minutes without traffic, an hour and a half with traffic from where we're at. So, yeah.
I would have to go north for you guys?
Yeah, you'll go
North, okay.
up and over the hill. You go
Right.
into the valley, and then we're the next valley in. So,
okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of baseball out here. It's pretty good. But with that being said, man, Trent, Coach, I really, really appreciate your time, especially the time that you got on giving these nuggets. I mean, they were gold, man. It was just something that, for me as a coach, I'm going to write down. I know my son has a whole page of notes right here. I'm sure a lot of these guys, hopefully they did their due diligence. But I really appreciate just your time to reaching out, showing who you are as a person, and sharing with the youth, not for us, but for what we could have learned from somebody else. And hopefully they take this and work on it, because that's all Coach the Ambassadors is about. Coach Vince and I have put it together, and we don't get nothing out of it. We're, even though we're a club team, it's still at a low cost for them, because it's not about us. What are we going to do with it? So,
Right. Who's recording? Who's ultimately recording this? Somebody is. Right?
Oh, I am. I'm recording it.
Okay.
It's
yeah.
mine.
So they could always go back and take notes off the recording ultimately, right?
Yeah.
So if you share the link with them or however you do that.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
but guys, I appreciate it. I wish you guys all the luck in the world, and you know, there's no luck involved. Actually, it's really just a matter of commitment. So, if it's meant for you guys to be baseball players, you'll put in the time. If it's important enough to you, you will. If it's not, you won't. You'll do something else, which is okay too. You know, you got to find your place in this world. Not everybody's not meant to be a high school varsity player, college player, pro player. So I wish you guys all the best, and enjoy the rest of your evening. All right.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
You're
It was
welcome.
awesome.
All right,
Hey, fellas.
guys.
Yeah, fellas, stay on real quick. We still got to pray to.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Trent, you could go if you like. If you want to stay for our prayer, we always pray after our practice.
Yeah. Go ahead. Who's leading the prayer? You?
Yeah, I will. That way we get going. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord,
Okay.
we come before you giving you praise and thanks, Lord, for this day, for this opportunity, Lord. We give you the glory for putting this together and putting it in your will to have Coach reach out to us and share with us his knowledge, Lord. And I just ask for your continued protection over each family that is on here, each kid, that as they continue to grow in this sport, that they are able to teach others about what they're learning about also, Lord. And I just pray over the coaches, Coach Trent and Coach Vince, Lord. I just pray over their families that you just continue to watch over them and keep everybody in the right mindset, the right attitude, and also in the right place to follow you, because ultimately we follow you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 All right. You guys.
Good
Good night,
night.
guys.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.